The photography world is buzzing again. A new rumor has taken over forums, news blogs, and YouTube discussions. It's the possibility of the Canon EOS R4. No official confirmation has come from Canon yet, but the leaks and speculation are too strong to ignore. Every day, new whispers suggest that Canon may be preparing something bold. And if these rumors hold true, the R4 could become one of the most talked about cameras in recent years. Why is this rumor so powerful? Because Canon has already proven that it can redefine mirrorless technology. The Canon EOS R5 shocked the world with its 45-megapixel sensor and 8K video. It was a camera that turned heads not just in photography circles, but in filmmaking communities as well. The EOS R6 followed with a very different approach. It focused on speed, low-light mastery, and affordability. Together, the R5 and R6 formed a foundation that made Canon a serious competitor in the mirrorless market. The rumored EOS R4 seems to sit right between these two giants. It is said to carry more resolution than the R6, but not quite as high as the R5. It is expected to balance performance and price, giving professionals and enthusiasts a middle option. If true, this would be a strategic move by Canon. Many photographers want more detail than the R6 offers, but don't necessarily need or want to pay for the R5's ultra-high resolution. So, what do the leaks say about the R4? The biggest piece of speculation centers around the sensor. Reports suggest a new full-frame sensor around 40 megapixels. This would be a sweet spot for many shooters. It's a clear upgrade from the R6's 24 megapixels, but slightly more forgiving than the R5's demanding 45. A 40-megapixel sensor offers high detail for landscapes, portraits, and studio work, while still being manageable in terms of file size and workflow. For hybrid shooters, this balance could be perfect. A sensor, however, is only as good as the processor behind it. Insiders claim that Canon may pair the sensor with a new generation processor, possibly called the Digic X Plus. This would not just boost speed, but also improve autofocus tracking, image clarity, and low-light performance. Canon has already built a strong reputation for autofocus accuracy with its dual-pixel AF system. If the R4 truly carries the next step in autofocus intelligence, it could raise the bar again, especially for action, wildlife, and sports photographers. Then comes video. This is where the excitement really grows. Rumors suggest that the EOS R4 might bring 8K video up to 60 frames per second. That would mean smoother, more cinematic footage than what we've seen so far. Alongside this, 4K recording at very high frame rates could become standard. Filmmakers and creators would gain slow-motion flexibility without losing resolution. Add in Canon Log 2 and Log 3, and suddenly, the R4 sounds like a serious filmmaking tool. But there's a catch. Canon has faced criticism before, especially with the EOS R5. When the R5 launched, many users complained about overheating during extended 8K recording. It became a controversy that threatened to overshadow its incredible features. For the R4 to succeed, Canon must address this issue head-on. That's why one of the most talked-about features is a redesigned thermal management system. Insiders believe Canon may use advanced cooling technology, like heat pipes or even vapor chambers. These systems, often used in gaming laptops and smartphones, can move heat away from critical components more effectively. If Canon pulls this off, the R4 could finally deliver long-form, high-resolution video recording without the fear of sudden shutdowns. Of course, no professional camera is complete without strong connectivity and durability. The R4 is rumored to bring Wi-Fi 6E and Bluetooth 5.2. That means faster transfers, more stable wireless connections, and better integration with cloud workflows. For professionals working on sets or in fast-paced environments, these improvements could save valuable time. Dual card slots are almost certain, given the expectations for redundancy and speed. And weather sealing will likely remain a core feature, ensuring reliability in tough shooting conditions. Price is always a sensitive subject. Early whispers place the EOS R4 somewhere between $3,000 and $3,500. That puts it above the R6 Mark II but below the R5. On paper, this makes sense. But there's a danger here too. If the R4 is too close to the R5 in features, why would anyone pay more for the R5? And if it's too close to the R6 in price, why not save money and go with that instead? Canon will need to balance this carefully. The R4 must feel distinct, with features that make it worth its own price tag. Interestingly, there's another layer to this story that has nothing to do with specs or price. In Japanese culture, the number 4 is often avoided. It is pronounced in a way that sounds like the word for death. Many companies skip the number 4 altogether in their product lines. That may explain why we have never seen a Canon R4 before. We went straight from models like the R3 to the R5. This raises an important question. Would Canon really call this camera the R4, or would they choose a different name? It's possible that R4 is only a placeholder used in rumors, and the real product might debut under a completely different name. Despite these doubts, the demand for a camera like the R4 is very real. Many creators and professionals want a balance between resolution, speed, and video performance. They want a hybrid camera that doesn't overheat, doesn't break the bank, and still delivers professional results. If Canon truly delivers on these expectations, the R4 could carve out its own space in the market. At this stage, though, it's all speculation. No patents have leaked. No certification documents have appeared. No trusted insiders have shown images of prototype bodies. For some, this is a red flag. Could the R4 simply be a fan fantasy? Could it be nothing more than a dream made bigger by online discussions? It's entirely possible. And yet, rumors have a way of turning into reality. Many cameras in the past were whispered about long before their official launch. Whether real or not, the R4 conversation reveals something deeper. It shows that the market is hungry for a camera that balances power and affordability. It shows that Canon users are eager for innovation that solves past problems while opening new creative possibilities. And it shows that Canon still commands attention in a highly competitive mirrorless market. The photography community thrives on rumors. Sometimes they fade into nothing. Other times, they spark a wave of excitement that eventually leads to a real product launch. The Canon EOS R4 is one of those rumors. People are treating it like it already exists. Why? Because it fills a gap that many professionals and enthusiasts have been asking Canon to address. Let's step back for a moment and look at Canon's mirrorless journey. When Canon entered the full-frame mirrorless race, it started cautiously. The original EOS R was an experiment. It introduced the RF mount and proved that Canon was serious about leaving behind the old DSLR era. But the EOS R wasn't perfect. It had one card slot, limited video options, and autofocus that didn't fully match expectations. It was a transition camera. The breakthrough came with the EOS R5 and R6. These two cameras, launched together, were a statement. Canon wasn't just playing catch-up anymore. They wanted to lead. The EOS R5, with its 45-megapixel sensor and 8K video, made headlines across the world. It was the first time photographers and filmmakers realized that Canon could deliver groundbreaking features in the mirrorless era. At the same time, the EOS R6 carved out a different path. It had a lower resolution sensor at 20 megapixels, but it was fast, reliable, and incredible in low light. For many wedding, sports, and event shooters, the R6 was the smarter choice. Together, these cameras gave Canon a strong foundation. Now imagine a camera that sits between them. More detailed than the R6. More forgiving than the R5. With video features that appeal to hybrid shooters. That's where the EOS R4 rumor becomes so interesting. It suggests that Canon could introduce a middle ground, a camera that delivers balance without compromise. One of the strongest rumors centers on the sensor. Industry whispers point to around 40 megapixels. Why does that number matter? Because it strikes a balance. At 40 megapixels, you get plenty of detail for landscapes, portraits, and studio work. But you don't get the massive file sizes that 45 or 50 megapixels bring. That means editing is faster, storage requirements are lighter, and workflow feels smoother. It's enough resolution for professionals, but also manageable for enthusiasts who don't want to invest in endless hard drives. But a sensor on its own is only part of the story. C. Anon's image processors make just as much difference. The R5 and R6 use the Digic X processor, which brought major improvements in speed, noise handling, and autofocus. The R4 is rumored to use a new generation, possibly called the Digic X Plus. If this is true, it could mean faster burst rates, deeper color depth, and smarter autofocus tracking. Autofocus has become one of Canon's strongest selling points, especially with its dual-pixel CMOS AF system. The R4 could push this even further, with better eye detection, subject recognition, and real-time tracking for both people and animals. Imagine a camera that locks onto a subject instantly, holds focus even in low light, and adapts intelligently as the scene changes. That's the promise many expect from the R4. Video is another critical piece of the puzzle. The Canon EOS R5 brought 8K video into the mainstream, but it came with a major problem: overheating. Early users complained that long-form 8K recording was almost impossible without hitting thermal limits. Canon later improved this with firmware updates, but the issue left a mark. For the R4, Canon cannot afford to repeat that mistake. That's why rumors about a redesigned cooling system are so important. Some say the R4 may use heat pipes, similar to those in gaming laptops. Others believe it could feature vapor chamber cooling, a technique often found in high-performance smartphones. If true, this could allow the R4 to record 8K at 60 frames per second without overheating. For filmmakers, that would be game-changing. Along with 8K, rumors suggest advanced 4K modes. Imagine 4K at 120 frames per second, giving smooth slow motion without sacrificing resolution. Adding Canon Log 2 and Log 3, and suddenly you have a serious filmmaking tool. These log profiles expand dynamic range, allowing editors to color-grade footage with cinematic control. For hybrid shooters, those who switch between stills and video, this balance is gold. Of course, professionals care about reliability. That means strong connectivity, flexible storage, and tough build quality. The R4 is rumored to include Wi-Fi 6E, which offers faster speeds and more stable connections. Bluetooth 5.2 could make pairing with smartphones and accessories seamless. Dual card slots are almost guaranteed, likely supporting both CF Express and SD UHS-2. This gives shooters flexibility: one fast card for video, one standard card for backup. Weather sealing is also expected. Canon knows that professionals need cameras that can survive rain, dust, and extreme conditions. Then comes the price question. Early speculation suggests the R4 could land between $3,000 and $3,500. This makes sense on paper. It sits above the R6 Mark II but below the R5. But this is also where things get tricky. If the R4 is too close to the R5 in features, why would someone pay more for the R5? If it's too close to the R6 in price, why not save money and stick with that? Canon must tread carefully. The R4 must offer unique features that clearly separate it from both. Otherwise, it risks confusing buyers instead of attracting them. But there's another complication. In Japanese culture, the number 4 is considered unlucky. It sounds like the word for death. Because of this, many companies skip the number altogether. We see this in elevators, hotels, and even product lines. Canon may hesitate to release a camera called the R4. That could explain why we've never seen one before. Instead, Canon may choose a different name entirely. Maybe the R4 exists as a concept, but the final product will arrive under another title. The rumors we hear may simply be using R4 as a placeholder. Despite these doubts, the demand is clear. Photographers want a camera that balances resolution, speed, and price. They want something that doesn't overheat. They want something reliable in the field. They want flexibility for both photo and video. The R4 rumor speaks to all of these desires. Even if the camera never arrives, the conversation around it shows what the market expects from Canon next. Skeptics argue that the lack of leaks makes the R4 unlikely. Usually, before a big Canon launch, we see patents, certification filings, or even leaked photos of prototypes. None of that has appeared yet. Could the R4 be nothing more than wishful thinking? Possibly. But history shows that many cameras begin as whispers. The EOS R5 was rumored long before anyone saw it. The same happened with the R3. In the fast-moving world of cameras, silence does not always mean absence. Sometimes, it just means Canon is keeping its secrets well. If the R4 does appear, one thing is certain: it must bring at least one disruptive feature. Maybe it's the cooling system that finally solves overheating. Maybe it's a perfect balance of resolution and speed. Maybe it's pricing that feels irresistible compared to Sony and Nikon rivals. Whatever it is, the R4 must stand on its own. Otherwise, it risks being seen as a minor update rather than a meaningful step forward. And this brings us to the real point. The R4 is not just about specs. It's about identity. For Canon, every new camera must fit into a clear strategy. The R6 is the speedster. The R5 is the high-resolution hybrid. The R3 is the flagship for sports. Where would the R4 belong? It would need a distinct purpose. Something that makes buyers immediately understand why it exists. Without that clarity, the R4 could blur the lines instead of sharpening them. For now, the Canon EOS R4 remains a rumor. It may exist on a secret production line, or it may be nothing more than imagination. But the very fact that we're discussing it shows the hunger for innovation. Photographers and filmmakers want tools that push boundaries without compromise. If Canon delivers something like the R4, it could reshape their position in the mirrorless race once again.